Welcome to Module 15 of the Six Sigma Institute's Lean Six Sigma Certification Curriculum, which follows both the Council for Six Sigma Certification and the International Association for Six Sigma Certification Bodies of Knowledge. A full copy of the Council for Six Sigma Certification's Book of Knowledge can be downloaded from the course description section for free. In this module, we will be discussing the improve phase of the DMAC methodology. This module will take approximately 50 minutes to complete. At the end of this module, there will be a 5-question quiz on the topics discussed, which you can complete on your own at any time. You will also find several Six Sigma tools that you can download, including a solution selection matrix template, a cost-benefit analysis template, and a project implementation plan template, all of which are Excel files. A solutions selection matrix is an analytical tool that lets teams propose and rank solutions for any of the root causes identified in the analyze phase. In this section, we are going to discuss the solution selection matrix and how to create one in Excel. While teams can work simultaneously on multiple solutions if multiple prioritized root causes were found, Black Belt and other team leaders must remain cognizant of timelines, resources, scope, and the purpose of the project. If a single solution provides enough positive impact to reach the project goals, then other solutions might be saved for future improvement projects. If one solution would reach results, but another solution would be especially easy to implement and provide additional positive results, the team is likely to decide to implement them both. A solution selection matrix can be created in Excel, and teams should work on the document together in a brainstorming capacity. It is a good idea to include the entire team, as well as relevant subject matter experts and stakeholders during solutions brainstorming. We start by entering the problem statement in the first column. This should be the final problem statement that was arrived at during the measure phase if the team decided that the statement should be altered after gathering data. Otherwise, this can be the problem statement from the define phase. Then we enter a priority validated root cause from the analyze phase. If the team is going to attempt to solve more than one root cause during the improve phase, it should create a solution selection matrix for each root cause. Next, we brainstorm potential solutions in column 3. And note, at a very high level, the practical methods by which a solution could be implemented. After a list of possible solutions and practical methods are created, the team rates each possibility on effectiveness, feasibility, and cost benefit. Each category is given a rating between 1 and 10. The effectiveness is the measure of how well a solution will eliminate a root cause for a problem, with 1 being not effective and 10 being highly effective. The feasibility is the measure of effort required to implement the improvement, with 1 being not feasible because of the effort or resources required, and 10 being highly feasible. The cost benefit is the estimated measure of how the cost of a project compares to the savings expected. This rating is not a formal cost benefit analysis, but is a high level estimation. If savings are expected to outweigh the cost associated with a project, the team ranks the solution as high. Otherwise, the team ranks the solution as low. The scores for effectiveness, feasibility, and cost benefit are multiplied to calculate an overall score. The overall score can be used to prioritize solutions and select the solution that features the best overall effectiveness, feasibility, and cost benefit rating. Keep in mind that while this score should play a crucial role in choosing the best solutions, common sense is still vital to the decision-making process. You may find that a solution with a lower score is a better choice simply because it will make the implementation of another solution in the future easier. Since we focus on the continuous improvement of a process, it is naturally a part of Six Sigma to improve in steps that build on top of one another. The goal of a cost benefit analysis is to compare the cost of implementing a solution with the monetary benefits expected from the solution. In this section, we are going to discuss the costs of a project, such as software development or purchasing, equipment purchasing, building development or renovation, additional labor or hiring, training expenses, additional supplies, and any loss associated with disruption as the solution is implemented. We will also cover the benefits of implementing a solution, such as an increase in product margin, increase in revenue, cost savings or avoidance, and intangible benefits such as increase to staff morale or customer retention, and how all of this works together to pay for the project in the long run. To conduct a payback analysis, Six Sigma teams must have an estimated cost for their project, as well as the estimated financial benefit per year. Remember, financial benefits don't just include increases in revenue. Cost savings, new customers, or mitigation of customer loss can all be considered as contributing to benefits each year. The team also needs to understand the estimated operating costs of an improvement for each year. To calculate the payback, we take the cost of implementing a solution and divide it by the annual financial benefits derived as a result of the improvement, minus any annual costs associated with maintaining the improvement. Obviously, organizational leaders are looking for payback calculations that are as short as possible. But if the solution will solve a major problem or set a foundation for extraordinary success in the future, a longer payback time doesn't necessarily keep a solution off the table. A more concise way of calculating cost benefits is known as the net present value, or NPV. The net present value adjusts benefits and costs as time passes because cash flow in the future is not as valuable as cash flow due to inflation and other economic factors. The discount rate for various endeavors can be calculated using expected return, interest rates, or inflation rates. Often, corporate finance departments can provide Six Sigma teams with a discount rate used for net present value in the company. The estimated benefits from the solution are generally recorded for the first 2 years, and all of the benefits and costs are added up for a third year. The net present value is discounted by a percentage rate, which may be determined by your organization's accounting department and may already be part of the organization's annual financial reports. A pilot is a limited trial of a solution in a live environment. In this section, we are going to discuss the piloting of a solution, because no matter how much analysis was completed or how well test cases were ran, teams cannot know for certain how a solution will behave in the wild. The live production environment will always have variables that teams cannot account for, particularly when people are involved in the process. We will also cover how to analyze the pilot once it has been completed. Teams don't have to pilot every change they make. Simple or small changes can be made without piloting as long as teams document the changes well and measure results for verification. When changes are large in scope, could cause expensive or expansive consequences, or would be difficult to reverse, teams should begin with a pilot. The same is true for any solution that might be expensive to implement at a full scale. But there are many benefits to piloting a solution. The use of resources is limited, which reduces waste if the solution turns out to be incorrect or not effective in resolving the problem. It provides a confirmation that expected results will occur and allows troubleshooting of a new solution on a smaller scale in order to minimize disruption during full transition. And it also lets employees outside of the Six Sigma team provide feedback on the solution and implementation to make sure that the final rollout is more successful. Six Sigma experts can use all the tools associated with the analyze phase to test whether solutions have a positive impact during testing or pilot programs. Hypothesis testing can be used to compare data from before the solution to data after the solution, determining if there is a statistically significant and positive change. Graphical analysis can be very helpful in demonstrating for executive leaders how a solution has positively impacted a problem by reducing defects, improving production or efficiency, or reducing costs. During the active part of the improve phase, the project leader will likely delegate numerous activities to members of the team, and the team will also rely on input and assistance from those who are outside of the Six Sigma team. In this section, we are going to discuss the planning of an improvement implementation. We will cover important parts of the planning process, like the documentation and the eventual transition of the improved process back to the process owner. Teams should create and work from an action plan during this vital and active stage of the DMAC process to ensure that no plans or requirements fall through the cracks. If the Six Sigma team is working with a project manager, he or she is likely responsible for the action plan, documentation, and follow up. Teams can also use a basic spreadsheet or Word document, which should be saved in a common location in order to keep track of what work is being done and who will do it. Because every project is unique, improved action plans are also just as unique. The team should have documented all of its work during the project. If asked, the designated team member should be able to present analysis in the form of data tables, statistical calculations and explanations, and graphical analysis. All brainstorming activities and diagrams should be saved in a central file location where all team members can view them and appropriate team members can edit them as needed. Access to these documents help team members work efficiently on additional documentation required for implementation. Almost any organization will require new processes or changes to processes to be recorded in the standard operating procedures. Depending on the organizational structure of a business, teams might even be responsible for drafting these documents, or they might need to work with knowledge management resources to create them. Teams might also create general communications, letting other staff members know about the upcoming changes and the reason for those changes, as well as a general reference documents such as cheat sheets and frequently asked questions. Strong documentation is key to the next part of implementing improvements, which is staff training. Six Sigma teams usually aren't in charge of complete staff training on any improvement that they make. Instead, teams begin the training process by working with training subject matter experts or delegates in the department impacted by the upcoming changes. The Six Sigma team trains these individuals who then go on to train other individuals who will be impacted by the process. At some point, the process training should be integrated into regular organizational training by trainers or knowledge management departments. During the improve phase of a DMAC project, teams should begin to consider the need to transition a process back to the business and traditional process owners. Transition is part of the control phase, but teams should move from improve to control with a good understanding of how the process should be measured and monitored. Strong documentation and training during the improve phase helps cement the success of the control phase. Once improvements are made, teams move on to the control phase. Again, a Tollgate review is conducted between the phases. During the phase, we need to make sure that solutions were reviewed and prioritized, and that only one or two top solutions were selected for action. That we first implemented these solutions on a limited basis in order to reduce the risks associated with their implementation. The data from limited trials was analyzed and solutions appeared to work as expected. From there, a cost benefit analysis was performed and the team comes up to an agreement to implement the solution in a live environment. The improvement and the findings were presented to the sponsor or champion who signed off on it. Everything gets fully documented and added to the standard operating procedures, and critical staff receive training on the solutions and are prepared to pass that training on to others. Teams brainstormed possible solutions to the problem and created a solution selection matrix for each of the causes identified in the defined phase. Each solution for each of the possible causes were then rated according to cost, effectiveness, and feasibility, and the best solutions were ranked based on these scores. Based on these rankings and good old common sense, one or more solutions are then selected and presented to leadership. The team, along with leadership, comes to an agreement regarding which solution the team should act on, what solution they should implement. And this information is then recorded, documented, and stored with the rest of the project files. The team decides whether to pilot or beta test solutions. If the team determines that a beta test is needed, then they conduct a pilot test first and then conduct a beta test. The team also creates an action plan to ensure data is captured and measured properly before conducting the test. The teams then seek input from operators and staff regarding the solutions, or in the case of a beta test, they also seek input from the experienced testers. And all of this data is recorded into the project files. Based on the action plan, the data collected from the pilot and or beta test is then organized and compared to the baseline data captured during the measure phase. Teams may also conduct hypothesis testing at this point in order to verify conclusions made about the pilot or beta test. We conduct a graphical analysis comparing the process from before the implementation to the results after the testing is completed, and all of these results are properly documented with the project files. The team took the time to estimate the total cost of the project, as well as the financial benefits of the improvement implementation and the costs associated with maintaining that implementation. From the accounting department, the teams obtained the net present value discounted rate and used this information to conduct a basic cost benefit analysis that can then be presented to the sponsor or champion. As always, the analysis is then added to the project documentation. Before you can begin the control phase, you need to finish the improve phase, and that requires an approval from leadership. That means you will need to have the project champion or sponsor sign off. You will have to present the status of the project to the sponsor or champion, which means that the prioritized solutions were identified, a cost-benefit analysis was conducted, the results from the pilot and or beta test were prepared, and the information was presented to the sponsor or champion, who then has to sign off on the solution. As with everything in a Six Sigma initiative, everyone must agree on the improvement implementation. Teams must present their findings to leadership, and if the organization has a steering committee, they are included in the process. The factors surrounding the improvement implementation are discussed by all parties involved, and everyone must come to an agreement on how and when to implement the solution. The team may agree on implementing multiple solutions or even agree to only a partial implementation of a single solution. When conducting a Six Sigma initiative, we make sure to follow the basic principles of the scientific method. And part of this is the thorough documentation of the initiative. Every step of the DMAC process is documented. Every chart, graph, analysis, test, and the minutes of the meeting should be included in this documentation. The documentation should be maintained in a centralized location so that it is accessible to the team for their reference at any point in the project. Information should be organized and ready to present upon demand, and the solution should be added to the standard operating procedures. The team may even want to keep the general staff or employees of the organization up to date with the current project status. The last step of the improve phase is to ensure that all critical staff receive training on the improved process. The Six Sigma team is generally not responsible for training the regular employees. So, instead, they will train the subject matter experts and process owners. This training is properly documented, and either new training manuals are created or the old manuals are updated. If there is a dedicated training team, then this training is implemented into the organization's training. Generally, it will be the subject matter experts who will work with that dedicated training team to prepare the staff for the new process operations.